thank you everybody for coming out today. Thank you all for being here. The people who came in at 4 o'clock, 4:30 to come and volunteer and help put this all together. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for that support. My lovely and supportive wife Jenny over there. Thank you so much for everything you do. Taking pictures right now. Thanks to everybody here for coming out today. I'd also like to recognize the traditional Haudenosaunee land on which we're gathered today. And for those of you who I've yet to meet, my name is Dearlove, and I want to be your community voice on Waterloo Regional Council. I want to be your voice because at my core, I want to be of service to my community. I was born and raised in Waterloo Region, and I know it from north, south, east, and west. When it came time to go to university, I chose a top quality school here in Waterloo. After spending several years living and traveling abroad, with options to live in many different places around the world, I chose downtown Kitchener to put my roots down, and I haven't looked back. When I made my home here, I thought I was just choosing a city. I lived in many different places, but this was the first time I felt something a bit more profound. This is the first time I really felt a community. I found a community of people calling this place home, with a shared dream for a healthy and prosperous community for their children. It's this shared dream that motivated me to volunteer, to get involved in many different ways in our region, motivated me to be a voice for positive change. And it's this shared dream for a healthy and prosperous community that motivated me to put my name forward in this election. A number of years ago, I started working at the Working Center, and a number of colleagues here, thank you so much. In addition to giving me experience as a community developer, it also exposed me firsthand to many of the inequities present in our community. What I learned from this experience was that the same hopes for a healthy and prosperous community, dreamed of in the suburbs, in high-rise condos, in the manufacturing parks in South Kitchener, the tech startups in North Kitchener, the same hope was shared by our friends spending the night out at the cold, or the single parent wanting a job but not being able to afford daycare. Even though we have unique and different needs, we're all in this together. A healthy community requires the participation of everyone, which is where my experience as a community developer comes in. As a community developer, I bring people together for a living. I create community where there was once disparity, interdependence where there was once isolation. I do this because strong, interconnected communities improve the quality of life for all of us. It's this inclusive mindset I will bring to our regional government because I believe government has an important role to play in creating strong, connected communities. I want to use our local government as a tool to unite us and make us better. This idea of a healthy and prosperous community has become a passion for me, and I live it every day through my volunteer work, through my writing and advocacy, and especially through my work as a community developer and child and family hub coordinator. Through this work, I've come to understand that a healthy community is only possible when we put aside short-term thinking and begin to think in the long term. We need to think about building instead of cutting, prevention instead of intervention. When we see our ideal community 10, 20, 50 years down the road and start working towards that end. A healthy community doesn't happen when we think in a one-year budget cycle. It doesn't fit into the 4-year election cycle. We often hear that politicians aren't successful when they don't get immediate results. But I don't care. I don't want to be a politician. I want to serve the community. Doing that by putting evidence ahead of assumption, positive impact ahead of personal recognition, and I will put our community ahead of myself. I will put what's best for the community 20 years from now ahead of whatever short-term complaints may arise, even in an election year. I don't want to be a politician. I want to be someone who does what's best for the community and just happens to be a politician. To do this, I want us to stop thinking about a single bottom line and start thinking about a triple bottom line. That's why my 3 priority areas in this campaign are fiscal responsibility, social compassion, and environmental sustainability. 3 bottom lines: the economy, our society, and our environment. In short, I won't make decisions that benefit one bottom line, but spite the others. We need to start painting a triangle: economy, society, environment, and guide our policies to find that sweet spot in the middle, where what we do creates a better economy, a stronger society, and a more sustainable environment. Let me start with fiscal responsibility. I recently read an article where someone was giving advice to anybody wanting to run in a municipal election. The advice was not to use the term fiscal responsibility. So, too late on that. But they said this because so many people use it to justify cuts to taxes and cuts to services. For the last few decades, fiscal responsibility has come to mean fiscal conservatism. Low taxes, less services, more and more people on their own. Well, we know that that's not responsible, because that's the single bottom line thinking we need to do away with. That's the assumption that we can cut something and not face repercussions. When you refuse to look at a social or environmental bottom line, you don't see that these cuts will hurt you in the long run. In the long run, social compassion and environmental sustainability are the responsible choices. If we invest in our communities and keeping people healthy, we don't have to pay when people are sick. If we invest in sustainable communities and keeping our environment clean, we don't have to pay to clean it up. Prevention, long-term planning, triple bottom line thinking. This is what fiscal responsibility means to me. Let's think about this. Would you rather invest in crime prevention or policing? This year, an election year, when everybody was so concerned about fiscal responsibility, the crime prevention budget received a cut, while the policing budget received a 4% increase. This isn't financially sustainable. We need to put prevention first. This is fiscal responsibility through social compassion. Last year there was a funding crisis for a gang prevention project called InReach. The program was expensive, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what politicians failed to realize was that if you could keep a dozen of these youth out of gangs and out of jails, you would actually save money. And you might just save some lives along the way, keeping youth out of gangs and instead having them work or in schools. Again, if we put prevention first, we get fiscal responsibility through social compassion. In this election, there will also be candidates clamoring for your support by promising to cut our services and cancel infrastructure projects. These are the people who believe that cutting is always cheaper. The fact is they're wrong, dead wrong. When they see spending as a cost and not as an investment in making our community a better place to live for all of its residents, we cannot let these projects go the way of the gas plants. If we elect representatives who confuse spending cuts with fiscal responsibility, that ignore social compassion and environmental responsibility, we will end up electing representatives who fail to see the whole picture. We make investments in our community because it makes a difference in the lives of our residents. Our investments in transit broaden the workforce for our businesses, they get people out of cars, they improve our environment, they mitigate the massive costs of repairing and building new roads, and they keep our air and our lungs healthy. This is fiscal responsibility through environmental sustainability and social compassion. And we can do more. Waterloo Region has much to be proud of when it comes to affordable and supportive housing. But it's not good enough when shelters are full to the brim with record numbers of children in shelters. We must work with the federal government for a national housing strategy. We should build new residential developments to house a variety of incomes. And we must invest in prevention so that families never have to raise their kids in a shelter. Hand in hand with the challenges of poverty is ensuring that we have economic opportunity in our community. We have an amazing and vibrant tech sector that we're all proud of, but we can't put all of our eggs in one basket. Under the radar is our manufacturing sector, which has been bouncing back from the Great Recession. Let's build on this. Let's improve our manufacturing retention and recruitment and find ways to connect the manufacturing sector with our tech sector for greater innovation. And let's not forget that access to affordable childcare is a great equalizer and a driver of economic opportunity. This is an area our region has done well with, but with the recent redirection of funds out of this budget to create an artificially low regional tax increase in an election year, there are new concerns about a growing waiting list. Well, you can't tell an employer that you can't start a job because you have to wait for a subsidized childcare spot. We need to protect childcare in this community as a means of access to the job market and not waste opportunities for early childhood education. Speaking of waste, we've all heard about the high price we're paying to use our green bins. It's a rotten deal for our rotten food. So let's use it as an opportunity to do better with our waste and encourage green bin use. Not only to get our money's worth, but because it's the right thing for our environment. And then there's citizen engagement. Two words conspicuously absent from our regional council's vocabulary. Firstly, our dual layer of government is confusing. So I will work with my colleagues at Kitchener City Council to connect with citizens together and find solutions together. But that's just the start. As a councillor, I will be accessible, present, and available. I will encourage us to get out of council chambers now and then to better connect with citizens in Cambridge and Waterloo and the townships, because this is a regional government. And let's make it easier for people to have their say, whether it's online, in person, maybe through a citizen's budget. Regional government should neither be a mystery or intimidating for regional citizens. We know that we face big challenges, but with big challenges come big opportunities. I believe in this community and our potential to be bold, creative, innovative, and find the best solutions to our challenges. And all along, as we confront big challenges, my mindset will always be on what's best for the community, not only today, but tomorrow and beyond. Because tomorrow, our community's children and youth should be what government's about. I was asked recently if you could do one thing in your time on regional council, if you could make one change, what would it be? Here's my answer. I want to change the way we perceive public spending. We must stop thinking about spending without understanding what the return will be. And we must stop thinking about cutting without understanding what the cost to our community will be. I want to change the way we think about spending and cuts. Spending as an investment, cutting without creating greater fiscal, social, and environmental costs. That is fiscal responsibility. That is the mindset of tomorrow, and that is the mindset I will bring to Waterloo Regional Council. So if that sounds like the kind of representative that you want to have around Regional Council, if you think we can do better, we can have a healthier and more prosperous city and region, I ask for your vote. I ask for your vote and for you to tell your friends and neighbors about me and my campaign. I ask you to take a lawn sign, to come door knocking with me, make a donation, help us get the word out that not only is a better community possible, we are on our way. My name is Dearlove, and I want to be your community voice on Waterloo Regional Council.